The Blackhawks are in Toronto to face the Maple Leafs, and they'll do it without Artyom Levshunov. We'll talk about the healthy scratch and catch up on the Leafs with Jesse Blake. Coming up next on the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks pregame podcast presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We have a jam-packed pregame show for you. Hawks and Leafs, we are going to get right to things. You know the drill by now. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Join us for the postgame. All right. Here are the lines for tonight's game. We're going to talk to Jesse Blake from the Steve Dangle Podcast Network here in a few minutes. We got to hear from Jeff Blashill, so we're getting right to things. Nazar with Bertuzzi and Burakovsky on the top line. Jason Dickinson with Tavo and Ilya Mikheyev. Ryan Green centering Oliver Moore and Nick Lardis. And Dominic Toninato with Colton Dock and Ryan Donato. That's hard to say.
Donato.
Toninato. Tomato.
Yeah.
Vlasic and Crevier. Kaiser, Grzelcyk, Ethan Del Mastro, and Connor Murphy, and Spencer Knight gets the start in goal. So the big story of the day yesterday, Artyom Levshunov showed up too late for practice. He was on the ice in time, but arrived around 9:20. Got blasted by Jeff Blashill blasted, as Chloe put on the screen, about 3 minutes into practice yesterday. Was scolded for not being on time, and today is being held accountable and will not play. So why don't we hear from the Blackhawks head coach on the decision to give Artyom Levshunov a healthy scratch.
Looks like Artie might be out tonight, but what is your message to him?
Well, ultimately, he was late coming to the rink yesterday, and so we have a standard of times guys have to be there, and he didn't mean to do it, but nonetheless, our standard's not going to slip, and so he's out tonight. He knows what the consequences are ahead of time, and he's a good kid who's, I think one of the things that, as a young player you have to do is learn how important preparation is. And so we've had conversations about what he needs to do to make sure he prepares himself to get ready for a practice and to get ready for games. And it's just a learning process for him. And it's not something that hasn't happened to lots of other guys over different periods of time. And but our, goal ultimately with Artie is to help him become the best person and best player he can. And ultimately sometimes these types of things happen.
All right, that's Jeff Blashill, courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks. I do not like to see Levshunov's hit, but it is the right call today, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked so much over the years about culture and identity and all this stuff, and this is a precedent setter for culture and identity, and we've had it with Jeff Blashill since he started training camp, preseason, how he's run practices, how he's, just operated morning skates. Like there's a standard and an accountability and things that have to be met. And whether it's team captain Nick Foligno or it's most healthy scratches this season, Sam Lafferty, or it's Artyom Levshunov, like each guy is held to the same standard and accountability. And if you allow Artyom Levshunov to not be carrying his weight, to not show up on time to the team and Jeff Blashill's standards. Yes, he was ahead of the 10 a.m. practice time, but as an NHL player, you can't just walk in, throw your gear on, step on the ice.
You don't throw away the Egg McMuffin wrapper and get on the ice.
Right, yeah. So you can't let there be a double standard, because if you do, that breeds terrible culture and a terrible atmosphere. And if you let those things slide, that creates bad habits. And we've seen Blackhawks teams many years ago, way before some people's time, have that kind of atmosphere and the team was terrible.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe the players weren't that great, but the atmosphere around it also bred a terrible culture. And that just seeped into, the Blackhawks of the time and the dark ages. And you can't let that happen with this group, because you're trying to move things forward, and you're trying to, with a lot of young guys, set a standard of like, this is what it takes to be in the NHL. And it's not a country club. You can't just walk in and do whatever you want. So that may have slid even last year, but it can't. And this is now the second time that Levshunov is being held accountable for not being up to standards, according to Jeff Blashill. So, fool me once, fool me twice, you're not going to fool me again.
No, and that's
right.
I'm glad that it's yes, exactly. Yeah, we can't get fooled again.
Yeah.
The fact that it is a player this high profile, this high draft, this important to the franchise means that everyone plays by the same rules. And I would believe that if Connor Bedard were to sleep through an alarm, which he can't because Frank Nazar is so loud, we found out today on 32 Thoughts. If you missed it, go check out that interview during the first intermission, that he would be held to the same standard, and he should. And someone pointed out in the chat, it was the Giggities pointed out, Mika Zibanejad with the Rangers, a veteran player who fell victim to New York traffic. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. The standard is the standard is the standard. And if you are late, I don't care what the excuse is. Mm-hmm. Like, we know practice is at 10 a.m. on a weekday. Usually. I leave home at 8.
Yeah.
And most of the time I get to Fifth Third at 9. But that one day I don't leave at 8. I'm going to get there at 10:15 because there will be some sort. So you have to plan for the unplannable, right? And that's part of being a professional, knowing exactly, I need to be there by this time. So I'm going to plan on being 15 minutes early or 20 minutes early before I'm even expected to be there. Mm-hmm. That's what being a pro is. I think Levshunov will get the message. I noticed that after Blashill laid into him yesterday, a bit of a body language adjustment from him of like, crap. Okay.
Yeah, probably
I'm gonna practice harder. I'm gonna, these things go a long way. And I'm glad that there is accountability. And I hope, look, Levshunov, what we love about Artyom Levshunov is that nothing seems too big. He doesn't get overwhelmed, but he's also a little bit aloof, and he's a little bit,
Yeah, and he's young.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of learning to be done. Yeah.
Part of that, look, I'm undiagnosed, but I probably have ADD. My wife has ADHD. And because of these things in our lives, we put fail safes in place to make sure that those things don't ruin whatever the plan of the day might be, right? Like that's part of, okay, this is a personality trait of mine. What am I going to do to make sure that personality trait doesn't affect my day-to-day life, my job, my parenting, whatever it might be, the state of my home, whatever it might be? You've got to take those actions and make those changes. And I think moments like this, we know this happened to him in Rockford, a similar situation. But I think Levshunov's it's Rockford, it's the AHL. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't. You got to get that mindset out of a player if they have that mindset. And we haven't had any indication that Levshunov's got any kind of attitude problems.
No.
But I think that's part of being able to be professional in hockey, whether it's AHL or NHL or ECHL or whatever. Like, you want to be able to meet the standards that you're expected to meet, and being on time for practices, being on time for meetings, showing up and being ready to do your job is the baseline. And these guys' jobs are to play hockey. So, I mean, Levshunov's a young guy. He's 20. I don't know if he has a significant other. I don't think he has a family to attend to. It's not like he's dropping off his kids at school and then coming to practice. Like, his job is playing in the NHL. So, I know we talked about it yesterday. Like, every day being in the NHL. Like, yeah, maybe not every day is a game or every day is a practice or whatever, but every day you're kind of taking care of yourself, because your body and your skills on the ice is your livelihood. And if someone showed up to, if someone who works for Four Seasons showed up late to a plumbing job,
which they would never do.
Which, yeah, of course they never do. This is completely hypothetical. But if someone did, like, there would be, they'd be held accountable by not being on time. So it's the exact same thing. Like if you're not, accountable and being held to those standards, there's some consequences. And yeah, each young guy is going to learn that. Even veterans have to learn that or relearn that sometimes. But if you let it slide, that's if there was a report out like, hey, Levshunov was late to practice, didn't have a good practice, and they let it slide. That's a bad. I would be a bit concerned about that. Yeah.
A couple of people saying like, wasn't he there like 40 minutes before practice? Like, yes, but as you said, it takes. Even if you're going fast, it's probably 15, 20 minutes to get all your gear on. You probably want to talk to, he's the power play quarterback, probably wants to talk to Mike Vellucci about the power play, wants to check in with the coaches, needs to stretch, needs to do all the things you need to do to get ready to go do an NHL practice. Again, you're not parking the car, opening the door, getting out and getting on the ice. That's just not a formula for success. And yesterday, Nick Foligno, I got there at 9:15 yesterday for 10 a.m. practice. Nick Foligno was on the ice already. 9:30, Brossois, Soderblom's out there, and then Donato trickles on. And guys start like around 9:30, 9:40. Guys are already on the ice getting ready.
For a 10 o'clock practice, I'd imagine by 9:30 that room is full of guys getting their gear on, or at least halfway done with getting their gear on if the goalies are already on the ice. So if at 9:30 that's the scene and Levshunov's walking in street clothes, that's not a good look.
No.
Even if he is technically
on time,
early or on time or whatever, but yeah, it's not just he's not home dressing and then coming out of his car with his skates on.
Look, I told a story about me being late for class for an entire semester until my teacher told me like, hey, dumbass, class starts at 5:30, not 5:45. Maybe he has to be told like, son, at this level, being on time is not on time. Being early is being on time.
Right.
There's an expectation that at 10 you are 10 out of 10 cranked up, ready to practice.
10 is the first drill.
And you are ready, and you are locked in, and you are in full hockey mode, stretched and everything, ready to go, not rushing onto the ice, not ready to go. So maybe it has to be spelled out for certain guys. We expect you here for a 10 a.m. practice, 8:30. Or whatever the time might be.
Yeah, if there's no meetings,
follow the lead of your teammates. And hey, you know what? Artie today maybe says, ooh, all right, Fliggy, what time do I need to, what would you say? What time do I need to be here? And it's, well, Artie, this is what I've done my whole career, and here's why. Oh, okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. Okay, move on. Yeah. Right? We've seen some of the greatest players in this franchise's history grow from teenagers to grown men significantly. Yep. So, all right, we're going to hit the break zone. When we come back, Jesse Blake from the Steve Dangle Podcast Network is going to preview Hawks and Leafs with Mario. My voice is cracked. Touch into on CHGO Blackhawks. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And with the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your football squadron goes up by 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. So download the app, use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Thursday Night Football on the way. Take advantage of their $10 safety net bet. And here is breaking news from Bet365. New customers, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. So sign up, use our code CHGO365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets. And they can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus to play. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. This offer is in-app only.
Pop quiz time, athletes.
Jesus.
Are you serious about leveling up your game? Well, if your answer is yes, and it should be, the right coach can change everything. And right now, finding the right coach is easy with Eye on the Ball. Doesn't matter if you're just starting out or competing at the top levels. You can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.net. Create your profile, search through coaches in your sport, and connect directly with the one that's right for you. From soccer to swimming to baseball to basketball to football and hockey, you name it, the coaches are there. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach could be one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Find your coach and take your game to the next level. And coaches, right now they got a great offer going on. You can get your first 6 months free. Start your coaching profile, grow your repertoire and your reputation, and find the athletes that you are going to take to the next level.
All right, we're back on CHGO Blackhawks. Do us a favor, please hit that like button for us. We have almost 200 people watching and only 45 likes. That's not good. Every like is a Hawk shot on goal.
That's true.
Science. Yep, sorry. So hit it. Make it happen. Mario, you had a chance to talk to Jesse Blake. What do we need to know?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of people have been saying, hey, you guys should reach out to those guys and at the Steve Dangle podcast and do something with them. So I thought, all right, well, Leafs, Blackhawks, I'll reach out. And so talked to Jesse for a little bit about where things stand with the Leafs, how they are approaching this game, how the Hawks might match up, and yeah, just a good conversation. So this is myself and Jesse previewing tonight's game. We're here with Jesse Blake of the Steve Dangle Podcast Network, co-host of the Steve Dangle Podcast, also beat reporter for the Steve Dangle Podcast Network for the Toronto Maple Leafs, joining us to preview Leafs and Blackhawks. Jesse, thank you for your time tonight. Thanks for being here.
Oh, no problem. I try not to call myself a beat reporter because I'm just like a guy on a podcast with credentials. I think so more because I don't like write every day. I don't do game day reports afterwards, but I'm around the team.
Okay, yeah, no, that's completely fair. That's basically what me and my co-host Jay are as well.
Yeah.
But maybe we're big-headed and want to say we're beat reporters, but we are just guys with credentials on a podcast. That's true.
Because I look at like the actual guys who do it, and I just got there, a couple of years now. We've had the credentials, and I'm like, you guys are grinding away on the road. It's the traditional sense of the beat reporter, and I never want to step in their lane. I don't know if you get that same feeling when around like the old grizzled vets of the United Center.
Yeah, I will say there definitely is a distinction between what we do and what they do. But they've been really welcoming of us since we joined up about a little over 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there is still that like we don't do exactly what you do, you don't do what we do, but we're all trying to like coexist in the same locker room.
Yeah, it's that vibe for sure.
Yeah. So we got Leafs and Blackhawks tonight, dropping the puck in about 20 minutes or so. And it's two teams that I think people are disappointed in a little bit. Leafs, I would say where they're at right now is a bit of a disappointment. Blackhawks, I think people got really excited about, and then they're a little disappointed now, especially without Connor Bedard for the foreseeable future. What's it like with the Maple Leafs right now, where they're at in the standings and what the expectations were?
Yeah, the expectations were you're competing once again for the Atlantic title. You're a playoff team, like put it in, write it in pen. You'll be there, just a matter of where you'll be in the standings. And so far this season, they haven't sat comfortably in a playoff spot all year long. And this is so below what everybody expected this team to be coming into the season. Obviously, the main storylines, you're losing Mitch Marner, how are you going to fill in those parts, blah, blah, blah. But we've kind of moved way past that now. And the reality of this team is they've dealt with a ton of injuries. They've used 10 different defensemen, 5 different goalies, and the entire team is struggling. And it's just not what it should have been coming into this year.
Is it that much on not having Mitch Marner, or was he kind of covering up a lot of maybe some of these deficiencies?
Yeah, that's the storyline you run with through September and beginning of October, when you want to regroup from the summer and you're getting back to everything that kind of happened over free agency and everything over July and August. But we've moved way past that now. I don't even think it's a storyline anymore. It's just people know the reality of this team, and them as they are currently constructed isn't good enough. And the injuries are a big factor in that. But even healthy, they don't look the strongest.
What would you say is kind of the factor in, I would say, holding back like Austin Matthews from the guy that we've seen in previous years? And even to some extent, I know he's leading the team in points and having a very like William Nylander-esque type of season. Mm-hmm. But doesn't seem like they're the guys that are consistently driving things to the point where you're reaching expectations.
Yeah, that's the biggest complaint about the Leaf Stars and how the complaint that's been over the last 9 years of this core of this team is their stars never seem to take over games. And Austin in particular, like he's not the same player who had the 69 goal season or the many 50 goal seasons before that. He's missing just something there with his shot, and everybody can see it, but we don't really know what's happening. It might be a systems issue. It might be the style of hockey that Berube wants him to play isn't conducive to his game, that doesn't allow him to be dynamic enough. But I think great goal scorers will find a way to score in any system that you're playing him. So I don't know if that's a good enough excuse for Austin. He's missing something there, and I don't think a lot of people have a lot of answers for it. Berube is always changing up the line combinations. I hope they find something now where they can get somebody who can get him the puck, because Michelli hasn't been that guy, and Domi's kind of he's trying to get into that role now. So he's trying to like settle into I just need to feed Austin this puck in important situations here. So hopefully that becomes something for this team. And I think against the Blackhawks here, Berube is going to go with Willie up there. So we don't even see that Domi connection, but maybe Willie's the guy who can get Austin the puck to score the goals.
Yeah, I was going to say it did seem like it was going to be Matthews, Nyes, and Nylander on the top line, and I think for the Hawks, it looks like it's probably going to be a Bertuzzi, Nazar, and Burakovsky top line without Connor Bedard, and it just kind of be interesting to see how those guys match up, top for top, and or see how Jeff Blashill wants to react and match up against a top line with the Leafs like that. And you mentioned Craig Berube and how he came in and seemed like he had like a lot of momentum behind the hiring and kind of changing things. How has it felt now this season with his style of coaching, with his strategy? Like, how is it kind of fitting, and do you feel like there's still a belief in him being the right guy, or is it maybe the pieces aren't exactly what he would want to work with?
Mm-hmm. You're so right about the momentum he had last year, because everybody was so excited about quote Craig Berube hockey, where it would look like they get outplayed for a large majority of the game, but the chances they'd give up weren't high danger chances, and they were able to just get a lead, hold it, and then that's the end of the game, and they'd win, and they did it to a division championship. But this year, it's the complete opposite, where they blow leads constantly. Like last two games, the Sharks game and then the Oilers game, it's just they were ahead, and they eventually one goal happens and everything kind of collapses. And Craig Berube, the momentum he had, it's definitely been waning this season, but I don't put the blame entirely on the coach for this one, because I don't think he has the pieces to play the type of hockey he wants to play. No matter what he does, if he doesn't have the personnel to execute it, that doesn't really fall on him. So I just think the entire roster construction isn't up to what it should be right now for him to get the most out of it. And your team, the Blackhawks, are a team that knows expectations. It's like you guys coming into the season, you see all the other rebuilding teams around you, like the Ducks and the Sharks, pick up this great momentum, and then you're kind of faltering right now. And the expectations were you guys take a step. Is that a correct assessment of the Blackhawks?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of people thought like this season, especially going after last season, where you're active in free agency, you signed a bunch of guys, and you think like, oh, okay, like Kyle Davidson actually kind of pushed some chips into the middle of the table, and then you fall flat on your face with those expectations. So then you come in this year and you think, okay, now you're going to give a lot of these young guys some runway, and the start you got off to was way ahead of what anyone thought, and now it's kind of starting to stumble a little bit, and then you compound that with losing Connor Bedard to a shoulder injury. It's kind of feeling like this is like last game against the Red Wings, and now tonight kind of feel like, okay, how do you not let it snowball in the wrong direction? And I think it's a time where you kind of have to figure out like who you are, like what is the identity outside of Connor Bedard, and who's going to be the guys that are going to be able to like step up and take that spot. And we've seen San Jose kind of at the same time they're losing Will Smith. Like that's a big piece of what the success that they've had. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how the team responds and how that they can try and maybe keep some of those momentum going, because I think a lot of people thought like the Blackhawks would be in the 70s, like low to mid 70s in points. Right now they're a pace for 80 some points, but a few more losses and you're right back to where maybe expectations were, but it feels disappointing the way you came out of the gate.
Yeah. On Monday's Steve Dangle podcast, I talked about how the Leafs' loss on Saturday might have been a little schedule watching by the players, thinking like, hey, we don't need to fight too much against the Oilers because if we beat the Blackhawks on Tuesday, everything is kind of fine. We get that. It's a decent homestand. And I wonder if they looked at the schedule ahead where it's like, okay, we get the Oilers, maybe we lose, but we can feast on the Blackhawks on Tuesday. And like from the outside perspective, I wonder if other teams look at the Blackhawks now with no Bedard as like, hey, there's a W on the schedule, so we can just get that game coming up.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine, even with Bedard, the last couple of games, they haven't been really consistent. And they had, last weekend, they were losing to the Kings and who was the other game against? Anaheim. They lost to the Kings in Anaheim by a combined 13-1. Like
it was 7-1
rough
to Anaheim. Yeah.
Yes, it was rough. So even then, I think people were probably considering like, oh, this is the team that we thought that they would be, even with Connor Bedard being available. So yeah, without him being available and seeing the game against the Wings, like you're probably thinking like this is definitely a game where you can kind of take advantage. But I will say the game against the Wings, they had Arvid Soderblom in net tonight. They're going to go to Spencer Knight. Like he's been phenomenal this season. So he's kind of been the blanket over some bad analytics that the Hawks have. So if he's able to steal a game, I think that's probably their best bet right now without having a lot of guys generating a ton of offense.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you. You mentioned a lot of the injuries with the Leafs, notably in net, as I'm mentioning Spencer Knight, but you guys have been without Anthony Stolarz and Joseph Wolf for a bit. But Dennis Hildeby looks like he's been pretty good in a spot that he probably didn't expect to be in.
Yeah, Dennis Hildeby is one of the few really bright spots this season for the Leafs because coming out of training camp, I don't think they expected him to be this type of player at all. With the injury history of Stolarz and Wall, I'm sure they thought like, hey, we might have to go to Hildeby at some point, but I don't think they thought he could fully take the reins and be this good of a goaltender. They brought in James Reimer during the preseason to try him out, and he played a game for the Leafs because they were so unsure about Hildeby's skills, and they had to use him, and he has stepped up in every single way to the task. And Saturday's game against Edmonton, he gets pulled, but it wasn't his fault at all. Like that's not a game that's on the goaltender. That's the team in front of him. And Craig Berube admitted afterwards he was a little tired from the workload that he's never experienced before being a starter in the NHL. And there was no point in having him out there for the final 25-ish minutes of that game to just allow a couple more goals. Give him that time off, let him rest up for Tuesday if he's starting tonight. So I feel like Dennis Hildeby has been just a breath of fresh air in a really kind of miserable season for the Leafs here.
Well, I hope the misery continues because the Hawks need a win. So, just being honest.
No, the Leafs can get in trouble if they're taking the Hawks lightly. Like Spencer Knight, as you mentioned, like he can steal a game on his own. So if the Leafs are going into this like easy win and they don't show up with their A game, they better watch out.
Well, showing up with the A game, that has been the buzz statement around here for the last couple of games. Hopefully the Blackhawks don't have their B games tonight. Jesse, thanks again for the time. Really appreciate it. Want to give you the platform here to tell everyone where they can find your work and the guys' work as well.
Yeah, just look up the Steve Dangle podcast. We do 3 times a week, couple hours, talk lots of Leaf, but entire NHL as well. Follow SDPN Sports wherever you follow your podcast or your social media. So there you go.
Awesome. Thanks again, Jesse. You guys do great work. I've been a big fan of you guys for a long time. We had a lot of people over the last 2 years or so saying to us that we should try and collaborate with you guys. So glad we were able to get it done. So send my best to Adam and Steve as well.
and also take care of my guy Jake McCabe. All right, I miss him here. So.
We love Jake McCabe in Toronto. He's a fan favorite. He's so steady back there. I'm not surprised you love him too.
Yeah. Well, he's a Wisconsin guy like myself, so got the connection there. But Jesse, thanks again for the time. Good luck tonight. I don't know. I want to be cordial, but I can't be too cordial.
Yeah, that crossover episode. We'll get it done one of these days.
Sounds great. Anytime. Thanks again.
Take care.
All right, it was great talking with Jesse, and just getting something I want to do a little bit more with some of our pregame shows is trying to connect with someone from the other team and get a little bit of a look around the league when we do these pregame shows.
And there's Jesse right there in our chat, I believe.
Awesome. There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, puck's about to drop. We missed Alec Martinez on the pregame show.
Yeah, how about that?
You know what the Hawks are doing? They're adjusting because we're killing them in the ratings. Sorry. Alec Martinez or us two?
Yeah.
You pick. Right? Combined hockey knowledge? I think we got them. All right, we'll talk to you after the game. Make sure you join us as soon as the Hawks and Leafs wrap up. Hit that like button on your way out. We'll talk to you later on a CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.